Welcome back to another episode of the Casey Campbell podcast. Casey Campbell with you, of course. Pleased to be joined by the head football coach at Zeeland East. That is Joe Woodruff, obviously a familiar face to me. Of course, spent before he went to Zeeland East. Of course, spent a few years at Lakeland. How's it going?
Doing great. How are you, Casey?
Doing well. So,
Good.
let's talk about this upcoming season. I know you're in this. You can still condition all this stuff. How are you guys taking this week so far?
We have 3 days of optional lifts. And when I mean optional, it's really optional. Our kids have been working hard all summer. We'd really prefer it if the kids would take the days off just to kind of recharge before next week. We do have a handful of kids that were in the weight room this morning. Some kids probably have nothing better to do other than go lift, so they don't want to lose any of the gains that they had this summer. So that's about all we're doing.
Okay. So, like, kind of talk about the group that you have this year, and what's gonna be what has this been like to coach these guys during the summer?
Well, we've had a real productive summer where we're excited about that. We thought we had a real good summer last year, and we were able to build on it this year. We're really, really young. We graduated a ton of starters last year. So we've got a handful of kids back. We had a very successful JV football team, so we're hoping that those kids can kind of mature real quick and get acclimated to varsity football. But we're definitely going to be a young football team this year.
Okay, so let's go through some of the guys and some of the returners, some of the games to watch for this team. Let's start with the offense, go to the defense, and then we'll finish out with special teams.
Sure. Our center, Quincy Thome, is going to be a 3-year starter. He's back for us. He's a 3-sport athlete. Jonah Hybor is a returner starter at offensive guard. Eli Walcott will be a returner at tailback. We'll probably roll with Will Drenick at quarterback. He's only a sophomore, but we think he's going to have just a breakout year for us. Derek Baxter as a junior coming back as an H-back for us. And we think Christian Pompey at tackle and Mason Roddy at tackle should be nice little additions. And we really like Isaiah Jones as a guard this year.
Let's go to the defense.
On the defense, the strength of our team is certainly going to be our linebackers. Derek Baxter was one of our starters last year. Ben DeLost, Peyton Davis, and Will Stayhauer are all back as linebackers. We really like sophomore Zeke Ramadani on the defensive line. We think that Judah Kalmbacher as a safety coming back will be big, and Wilver Stagg as a corner and a safety will be big. And then sophomores Colby Miller, sophomore Isaiah Boonstra, and senior Evan Schuberg should all kind of like compete for spots in our secondary.
Okay. Special teams, what's that looking like?
Well, we graduated a kicker that was really, really good for us. So we're kind of looking at trying to develop one of those over the next couple of weeks. The kicker thing will be a big for us. But we graduated our return kid as well. So we're going to have a lot of work to do on special teams this year.
Yeah. Okay. So now we've talked about the returners on your team. Now let's talk about the schedule. Before we start this, obviously, of course you're in the OK Gold. Just to kind of recap and maybe what did your division see any changes, obviously, with the OK Conference realignment?
Oh yeah. It's one of those, if I told you that we lost, we don't have to play Muskegon, Mona Shores, and Reese Puffer. Right off the bat, if I said those 3 teams were off of our league schedule, most everybody would probably be thinking we're really excited about this. Unfortunately, we replaced them with South Christian, Unity Christian, Forest Hill Central. So those were kind of I don't know if that's any better for us. Obviously, we still have Zeeland West in our league, and Zeeland West is going to be as good as anybody in the state this year. And then, we've got Wyoming that, hasn't had a lot of success in the win column. However, they return a bunch of really good looking athletes this year. So our league certainly didn't get a whole lot easier this year.
Yeah, it's high school football. I mean, you're replacing good teams with good teams, and of course, also a defending state champion as well. So,
Yeah, that's reality.
yep. Well, I'll just run through the schedule real quick here. August 29th, starts off the season at Grand Rapids Union. September 6th, home against Flushing. September 13th at Alpena. That, of course, is, I believe that is the Armed Forces game, right, Joe?
I believe so.
Okay. September 20th at Zeeland West. September 27th, home against Wyoming. October 4th at Grand Rapids South Christian. October 11th at Grand Rapids Forest Hill Central. October 18th, home against Hudsonville Unity Christian, and finishing out the regular season at home on October 25th against Hamilton. So pretty good schedule. I know we just talked about the conference, but the non-conference opponents are pretty solid as well.
Well, it's interesting. Obviously, we start with Union. They're going to have a new coach, so that's going to kind of be an unknown. Union always has a lot of athletic skill that's out there. So that's going to be a good eye opener for our young kids week one. Week two against Flushing. We went up to Flushing last year, and they had a new coaching staff, and we're trying to get their feet underneath them a little bit. We jumped on them pretty early. But they had a really solid season, I think, after they played us. So we expect a dogfight with them coming to our place week two. Going up to Alpena week three is kind of unique. Obviously, we get to go across the state of Michigan to go play a football game, but hey, we get to go see Northern Michigan early. They've got a new coach. Anytime you play a game 4 hours away, there's so many variables that could happen. Who knows? Zeeland West, like I said, they're our neighbors, they're our rival. They're going to be as good as anybody. They've got a really, really strong team coming back. Wyoming, I've already kind of talked about them. Obviously, Unity Christian, South Christian, Forest Hill Central. These are teams that have played in the state championship within the last couple years. And then, kind of end of the season with Hamilton, which is going to be a kind of rekindling a rivalry. They're kind of our neighbors, and I would expect they're going to have a really solid senior class back as well. So, like I said, we don't have a really easy schedule, but it is what it is.
Absolutely. So really, what do you feel like that, obviously, with this week, and then of course the 12th. So what are the next few weeks going to look like for this program until that first game on the 29th? Or I mean,
yeah, we're really kind of cramming right now to kind of build depth because we've got a whole bunch of young kids. We'll probably have 4 or 5 sophomores starting up on varsity this year, which is certainly not ideal. But, if your sophomores are ready for it and they're good, which we think they are, we had a really nice JV team last year. So, we think those kids are ready to make a next step. That's going to just be a lot of cramming to try to get schemes learned and depth developed. One of the drawbacks you have across the country is when you do the acclimation period, most of us had 15 days of work in the summer with helmets, and then you throw 2 days of helmets out of there. And, there's only so much stuff you can do with a helmet on, and then you put helmets and shoulder pads on the next 2. And, it gets a little bit more physical, but not much. And then I think on that Friday, we start, tackling and stuff. And geez, we got a scrimmage probably another 3 or 4 days after that. So, it is really crammed. You got to get all the mental stuff in early because the physical stuff's going to hit really, really quickly on that Friday.
Yeah, for sure. The season will be here before you know it. And of course, all practices start for all fall sports on August 12th. So it should be fun there. All right, Joe, thank you so much for coming on and talking with us, and best of luck to you guys in the 2024 season.
Thanks for all you do. It was great seeing you again, Casey.